Hey, what up everybody? Thanks for checking out today's video, which is about Sean Lee, who after 11 seasons with the Cowboys has decided to retire. So today we're going to be talking about the obvious label of Sean Lee throughout the course of his career and why I think that label completely misses the boat on what he is and has been for the Cowboys. We'll get into all of that in a second, plus what does Sean Lee's retirement now mean for the Cowboys draft strategy? We'll get into all that, but first consider hitting like on the video if you like what you see. Also, go ahead and hit subscribe on the page and ring the bell if you're feeling frisky because I always post Cowboys videos. And if you want to be in the know, go ahead and ring the bell. Today's video, sponsored by betonline.ag. Betonline.ag is your online sportsbook expert. Sean Lee announced his retirement. Maybe a surprise to some, but certainly it was an option on the table for Sean Lee this offseason. Maybe thought it would have happened earlier in the offseason and not a few days in advance of the draft. But if I'm being honest, I don't think Sean Lee retiring will or should change the Cowboys' approach in the draft. Right? I mean, this is a guy that was giving you very little snaps consistently in the course of a game, 20, 30, 40% of your snaps over the course of a football game, not playing the majority of snaps. They needed to add depth at linebacker beyond Sean Lee's decision here, so I don't think it should. Now let's get to Sean Lee, the Cowboys player, because he's obviously going to be labeled is a guy that never scratched the surface of his potential because of injuries. Injuries derailed a promising career for Sean Lee, and that is true. I mean, he did miss 58 games out of a possible 176 in his 11-year career. I mean, so he missed about 33% of his entire career through injuries. But, you know, the thing that I think should not be missed about Sean Lee, more than anything else, is that Sean Lee exemplifies everything that you want out of a football player for a team that you root for, right? And some of this stuff is obvious, right? Not much of an ego, willing to do what's best for the team and not maybe be a Jason Witten type to where your ego gets in the way of other players getting snaps or, you know, diminishing, taking a diminished role, those kinds of things, right? Like Sean Lee was always willing to do what's best for the team, deferred his ego for it. Sean Lee is just an absolute gamer. He watched countless. I mean, he spent his entire career watching film and looking at film and getting better through film. And I think the most important thing that we should remember about Sean Lee is that even though he missed 58 games in his 11-year career, he got everything he possibly could have out of his career. He scratched and clawed and managed a pretty robust career considering how many games he had missed at the beginning of it. Do you know how many guys play well early on, suffer injuries, and then they're gone? They retire. They're sick and tired of the grind of rehab over and over and over and over again. I mean, the majority of guys in Sean Lee's situation don't play 11 years. They walk away. They retire because they can't continue to put themselves through the rehabs time and time again that Sean Lee did. But Sean Lee cared so much about playing football and being a good football player for the Dallas Cowboys and changing the narrative on him. And just cared so much about playing football that he scratched and clawed and managed every last snap that he could possibly get out of his career. His career, it's not a Hall of Fame career by any stretch of the imagination, but it should be celebrated because of how impressive it was, because of the difficulty that it involved. So many times we miss the boat on some of these guys, the amount of unbelievable work that goes into it, especially when it comes to injuries. I think we don't totally understand the amount of time that goes back and coming back from injuries, and so many guys lose patience with it. Sean Lee can retire knowing that he got everything he possibly could have out of his career. And as a fan of the Cowboys, that should bring you a ton of pride. Because, and not just the Cowboys, but in general, we see so much wasted talent, guys that never scratch the surface of their potential because they're apathetic, because they don't work, because they don't want to work or put in the time or David Irving's a great example of this. And there's countless others throughout the league. It's just guys that waste all of their potential. The NFL is littered with guys like this. College football is littered with guys like this. Guys that just would coast on talent and talent alone. Sean Lee got every ounce that he possibly could have out of the NFL. Every ounce. Most aren't built like that. Now, in terms of what they're going to be missing in the upcoming season, I mean, look, there's a lot that's being written about his leadership. The guy was a fantastic leader. I just don't think you can be a leader if you're only playing 20 to 30% of the snaps on the field. You can't be. Nobody listens to you, right? I mean, leadership manifests itself in guys that play the majority of snaps, that are on the field constantly. They're listening to these guys in the locker room, not necessarily guys that are, have a stature and have credibility, but don't play that many snaps. So I just don't know how much the Cowboys are losing from a leadership standpoint. Now, what I will say by that is, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm bringing him in on staff in some capacity because he can help me a lot. I mean, this is a guy that, he's a gym rat, so to speak, right? I mean, he's always working on his game, always watching film, always trying to figure out ways to get an edge. Like, I'm bringing him on staff if he wants to, because this guy could eventually become a really good defensive coach in the NFL or any level that he wants to. But I'd bring him on because of his acumen of watching film, of pointing out coverages, of understanding the game better than anybody else in my roster. That's why I bring Sean Lee in as a coach. Because at this point in his career, that's essentially what he was. We'll see, though, if that's something that interests him. Once again, thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to come back because over the next week, I'm going to be doing a ton of coverage on the NFL Draft as we gear up for the Cowboys' 10th overall pick. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That way you'll always receive notifications. And shout out again to my sponsor, BetOnline.ag, for helping me to produce this video. BetOnline.ag is your online sportsbook experts.